Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel. The panel tonight, we've got James, Johnny, Mitch, and Andy. So they'll be on shortly to talk all things Newport game and everything else. There's not many games left in the season, so let's see what they think of where we're going to be. Just one thing, Hartlepool tickets go on sale tomorrow. But just remember they're from the Hartlepool ticket office and not the Swindon Town one. So you'll need to get on the net early to get those. I think there's a limited amount as well, so be nice and quick on there. Okay, so let's bring Vic on. Good evening, Vic.
Very good evening to you, Chris. I trust you are well.
I'm good, thank you.
Jolly good.
Just to say, we're very sorry that Jojo can't make it tonight. A few things he double booked, so unfortunately he won't be on tonight, but we have sort of agreement that he will be on at the soonest we're able to arrange something. So we will be talking all things Ghana at some point soon. Okay, so let's bring the panel on and we'll start. So we've got James, we've got Mitch, we've got Johnny, and we've got Andy. There we go. As usual, any questions, please leave in the comments. I'm doing the comments today, so please bear with me. And we'll get through as many as we can. Okay, I'm going to leave you and go and do my other job.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. We have to say James Spencer is the only one without a hoodie type top on, of which we are a bit ashamed of you, James, really. Not much effort put in there, was there?
I know. I think I got I didn't get the text message, did I? So that's the problem.
But as I said to you before, I am sat by a radiator, so I am now wishing I hadn't got a hoodie on, quite frankly. Good evening to you all, gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Yes, a busy hour, I suspect, coming up. We've got a busy Easter schedule starting at Harrogate, a new ground for us all on Friday. And then, of course, the return of Richie Wellens next Monday afternoon with Leyton Orient at the County Ground. And that, of course, precedes the return of another former Swindon Town manager when Barrow come visiting. Phil Brown is the manager of Barrow, so that's two in a row. Not bad, really. Let's get on to Saturday then. I don't know where to start, really. Huge crowd. James, wonderful crowd. All built up for what was a really, really big game. I described it as big crowd, big game, big letdown. Is that true?
In a word, yes. You can always guarantee, I think, can't you? And this always used to be historical that, you know, when we had a lot of people at the County Ground and we had a big game, we generally would let ourselves down. And I think that's generally what we did on Saturday. I think it was frustrating, wasn't it? Because Newport really didn't offer a great deal. They didn't really have any shots on target. And the only opportunity they really had to score properly, we kind of gifted them a goal and they scored. I think, I went home and I just didn't talk to anyone for about 4 hours. I was so frustrated. I literally could not get the anger out of my system quick enough. It was just, it was frustrating. I just, we've shot ourselves massively in the foot. And I think at the end of the day, you know, it just comes down to the fact we had no cutting edge up front, really, did we? You know, there was no quality, there was no striker. We made some chances, not that many, but the ones we did make, we didn't put away, and that's the story, really, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. Paddy sent me a message. It's a shame that we haven't grasped the chance of promotion. It's slipping away. When you get an unexpected chance of going up, you've got to grab it. Kevin says, well, I'll get to you in a minute, Johnny, but is the playoff still on? This is directly asked to you. Sorry, I had to ask you, bearing in mind your prediction earlier on in the season. Mitch, yeah, James was saying he didn't speak to anybody for 4 hours. It was a long drive back to Devon, I can assure you, listening to the Grand National, but having no interest in it whatsoever, because I kept replaying that goal in my mind over and over and over again. What was your view on that? I mean, a lot of people were blaming various defenders for that goal, which I thought unfairly. What was your view of it?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really unfair to blame the defenders, and you know, I've come in here before and kind of given Dion a bit of stick, and you know, Baldry at the start of the season, there's a few games where I was like, I think he's done, but it's nothing to do with them on this occasion. I think they've both been great, to be honest. Since they've come back, it's a difficult one because when it goes over the top, I've had a perfect view. When it went over the top, Jojo starts to run, so Baldry lets it kind of go because he's not going to win a foot race. and then Jojo backtracks and then comes out. So it gives the guy the perfect opportunity to just keep running and get onto it. And obviously he's taking it around him and, kind of pull it in. Good finish from the angle. And if Dion doesn't touch it, the other guy behind him taps it in. So it's one of those things where, it's a Jojo mistake, and that's the nature of the beast. But let's be honest, he's made more saves this season, good saves in my opinion, than mistakes he's made. So he can have a mistake in his locker because he's saved us plenty of times this season.
Very good point about a lack of cutting edge up front, Johnny. I mean, we've lost Tyree Simpson 11 goals before Christmas. Then we've lost 18-goal Harry McCurdy, and we just haven't replaced them. I mean, Davison is a really good hold-up player, works really hard, but he's not an out-and-out striker, is he?
No, I mean, I think, that sort of losing Tyrese and losing McCurdy for a little bit is kind of indicative of the season. And not so much, I think this might be a rare occasion where I don't think Swindon Town have blown it. I think things have just happened to them. Like they lost players, they've lost loan players. People have got injured that don't normally get injured, and things just, for whatever reason, don't seem to be going for them. And you obviously need that luck. So, when you lose what was effectively, the 2021-22 Doyle and Yates for whatever reason, then it's going to be difficult. And Davison does what he does pretty well, but goal scoring, I don't think he's got that natural knack for goal scoring quite yet.
Yeah, well, what about that question then from Kevin? Bearing in mind what you did say towards the start of the season, is the playoff still on? Sorry, I had to ask you. And actually, mathematically, yes, of course it is. But it's going to be, let's be honest, we got a tricky game Friday. I've seen Harrogate a couple of times this season. They're a decent outfit when they play. So it's a tricky old game.
Yeah, I like them when they were down here. I thought they knocked it about quite nicely. They sort of had that good mix of getting it forward but playing in the right areas, which I think Town could learn from occasionally. As far as the question goes, I think I sort of said it for a while. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but I just don't think it's. I don't think it's on this year. When I said it at the start of the year, based on what we had kind of going on and what the feeling around the club, I felt, it's on. And then obviously, and that was fine until about Christmas. I think if they kept Tyrese, if they kept Ken Kessler-Hayden, if Jordan Lydon doesn't go down injured, and things, they could have recovered from that little blip and they would have carried on with the team, and they would have, I think they would have gotten they would have gotten the playoffs comfortably. There's no question about that. But like I said, I think things just keep happening to them. And especially since the turn of the year, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's meant to be, but at the same time, I found a tweet that from sort of 3 years ago when we played Newport down at their place, drew 0-0 under Wellens. It feels exactly the same to me, that we were just a little bit off, but there were so many positive things that you could build around. Next year, there's no reason why not, because everyone knows what happened at the start of the year, and I think things have just gone against us. It's not meant to be. We kind of, trying to put really. I don't want to give up on the season because there's no point. Like someone said earlier, you're never guaranteed a chance of getting promoted. So there's no way that they should give up. But at the same time, I don't think we should be too surprised or too disappointed if it doesn't kind of end how we want, because things have just conspired against us. And I think we will have, with the way that they recruit as well, like Ben, no one's got a better eye for a player than Ben Chorley. Ben Garner will keep learning. The whole squad, the people that stay with them will learn from these experiences. And then I think, we can be excited next year. And if things don't go well next year, then people will have questions to answer.
Well, Brandon Cooper is another one, isn't it? Whereby you bring him in and then lo and behold gets an injury at Bradford and that's his season done. O'Brien got injured as well. And we'd already lost a third of the team effectively with Simpson, Kessler-Hayden and who's the other one? I forgot.
Critchlow.
Yes, Critchlow. Yeah. So we lost 3 players out of the team and a third of the team has gone. Andy, let's have a look. Failure to take up, this is from Joe. Hello, Joe. Failure to take our chances and pick up points from those above and around us has cost us again. Rob says, very disappointing on Saturday. We lacked ideas and energy second half. And that goal, says Rob. Yeah, I think that's fair criticism, don't you, Andy? We just looked as though we didn't know what to do somehow to break Newport down.
No, it had 0-0 written all over it, didn't it? Neither side looked like they were capable of creating a good enough chance. I question sometimes our shooting. Sometimes the amount of times the ball goes flying off into the town end or the Stratton Bank, and we don't get a lot of opportunities. But I'm sure they spend a lot of time training, but they just seem to snatch at an awful lot of shots. And to me, the basics is to try and hit the target, especially when we're not creating a lot of chances. And then I think that the big thing on Saturday afternoon was, I say, 0-0. And then he started to unload the bench. And with the greatest of respect, I think a comment was made, we've probably got a good enough team to go up. We probably haven't got a good enough squad. That sort of showed itself quite clearly. With all due respect to some of these players, it's their first big season in professional football. But they're not quite there yet, are they? Let's be fair. And I was surprised Egbo didn't come on. I thought he would have been the natural replacement for Barry, going on sort of right-hand side, pushing him up like he did at Rochdale. He was playing quite high up at Rochdale. That seemed a rather surprising thing to put Mitchell Lawson on there because he had no impact in the game, frankly. In fact, he was dispossessed with a goal. If you see him, didn't track back. So yeah. And we had double disappointment, didn't we? We'll just check the cricket one. And Somerset lost within 2.5 days, didn't they? But
yes.
It wasn't a good day.
It wasn't a great day. No, it wasn't. No, interesting. This is from Jason. And it's Jojo should have thrown the ball to Ellis. Dion Conroy did well to find Davison. Davison's ball to JML should have started something, but showed the defender what he was going to do, had his pocket picked, the ball over the top. Jojo started to come, hesitated, and then ended up in no man's land. The ball was going across goal. DC had to try to clear it, but unfortunately took it into his own goal. Jojo to blame. I don't blame Ellis for having a go at Jojo after the ball hit the back of the net. I mean, the great shame about not having Jojo on tonight, and I understand the reason he's not here, but it would have been really nice just to have gone through the thought process. Not to have a go, but just to go through the thought process as to what he saw in front of him. And I said before we started, ironically, a lot of people were going, get the ball forward. Well, of course, we got the ball forward and resulted in a goal, didn't it? So there we are. This is from Glenn. Hi, Glenn. I think both teams were frightened to lose on Saturday. Very good point. Tony says, just stay focused. Just believe if McCurdy back, still think it will go to Walsall. Sean says, I know it wasn't great Saturday, in the final third more so, but still think we were robbed. Right, okay, here we go then, James. Good one. Easy one for you, this. This is from Greg. Do you think that Ben Garner is the right man to take Swindon forward? I'm starting to doubt him and his tactics. Nice, easy one for you.
Oh, there we go. There's a start. I think he'll get us promoted. I think he's a good guy. I think the key thing is we don't know if he's a good manager at the moment, do we? I mean, he's been a coach. Yeah, okay, he's a head coach. That's his title. But not all good coaches make good managers. I think you've got to give him a chance. He didn't really have a good starting place at the beginning of the season. So, if we don't get promoted this season, I think you've got to write this season off and basically give him all he needs next season to have a really good go at it. And I think, as Johnny mentioned earlier, if we're nowhere next season, then serious questions should be asked, really, if he's the right man for the job. But I don't think you can really assess that at the moment. We've had injury problems. We've obviously lost most of the squad, or a lot of the squad, the key players. The disappointing thing for me is the couple of senior players that are left in the team. I don't think are really. I don't know. Not that they're not interested, but you need those more senior players when you are in the kind of situation we're in to really show leadership and really kind of show the younger ones how to do it. And I'm talking like the Johnny Williamses of the world and what have you. And I have to say, the last few games, he's been very unimpressive, Williams. I'm still struggling with him a little bit at the moment. I know a lot of fans are. I don't know if it's because we're playing him out of position or whatever, but he flatters to deceive quite a lot. And obviously Payne, I think, he's been injured. He's taken a while to get back from injury. He's not fully fit. It's obvious. He looked absolutely out of it by about 65th minute. I don't know why, obviously he's still returning from injury, but he was struggling to get back. He was struggling. He's not been at his best since he came back. So I don't know. We're just I guess, in light of what Johnny said, I think this season is difficult to judge Garner on. I think you just have to, we have to wait. We have to finish the season as best as we can, rebuild in the summer, which obviously we will, and then give him a chance next year and see how he does.
Yeah, interesting. He was on our table, wasn't he, Andy, at the sponsors' dinner, and he said about the goal at Exeter, and he hit it, and he was really pleased he hit it because with Payne, because he could come back from injury and he wasn't sure if he struck a ball how it would be, and he was just happy that he struck a ball and it went in, because you don't know with an injury, do you? And so he was just pleased he did that and got that out of the way and scored the goal. And of course he got that penalty at Bradford City as well. Let's have a look. Ian says the Newport subs gave them the edge at the end, and of course it was one of the Newport subs was behind Conroy, wasn't he? And I think I'm right in saying he's their leading goal scorer as well. So he would have been there just to an easy tap in. So there you go.
He hasn't scored in 7 games though.
Oh well, he would have done on Saturday.
That's why he was on the bench.
League's top goal scorer on the bench.
Hey, a disgust. Darren says, hate to be doom and gloom, but the playoffs have gone. Town are still going to drop points, probably finish about 10th. But hey, I'll be at Walsall. I've already purchased my season ticket for next season. We will go again, hopefully, with some good recruitment. Do the panel think Ben Garner should vary his endless reliance on playing out from the back? Kevin says, how does the panel think when they hear get the ball forward? And Joe says, how long do you give Garner next season, though? If we're not up there from early on, leaving him in charge for months until the season starts to drift away is no good. And I guess the start, Mitchell, bearing in mind what we said about the possibility that the playoffs have gone, possession is over 60%. But actually, what really matters is you get that spherical thing to those 2 white posts, and you can have 5% possession as far as I'm concerned. But if that means 3 goals, that's great. Do you know what I mean? Do you remember Bournemouth and Liverpool some years ago when Liverpool had 95% and lost? I mean, the most important thing is getting that spherical object to those 2 posts, isn't it?
Well, Leicester won the Premier League with an average of 40% possession, so.
Very true.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't want to get away from playing out the back. That's one thing I don't want to get rid of, because the year we had David Flitcroft was the worst year ever of being a season ticket holder. We might as well not had a midfield. It went straight from the defender to Luke Norris and chased it down like a headless chicken. And to be openly honest, I wouldn't have renewed my season ticket. It would have been the first year that I wouldn't have renewed my season ticket because I didn't enjoy watching it. And then he went the last day of renewals, and I renewed the day he left because it was that terrible style of football. And I was disconnected from the club, and I didn't want anything to do with it anymore. So I don't want to not build out from the back. Okay, you take risks as long as we've got the right players to do it. And I think Dion's passing when he's got it right.
Yeah,
he makes it. Honest to God, I think there's some pass the other day where he just goes right, takes the right player out, hits the wingers, and great. But we haven't got the wingers to do anything with the ball at the minute. I think Barry was probably the worst player on the pitch, in my opinion. He reminds me of Kesler Hayden. Nothing at the end of it. All zip, zap, zip, and didn't know what to do with the ball at the end. Couldn't cross it, couldn't pass it. Kesler Hayden went at the start when he was like that. He looked very similar. Johnny Williams spends more time on the floor than he does with the ball. He does this really annoying thing where he goes to lean into the player to like balance him out. They move. He falls on the floor and asks for a free kick, and it's exceptionally frustrating. And you've got Davison doing his best to try and bring people. And I think he does an exceptionally good job trying to bring other people into the game. But if there's no one around you, if there's no Harry McCurdy to work with, it made it pretty much impossible. And it was, I want to play a possession game, and I want to keep doing what we do. And I don't care what manager it is, because it seems to be the company philosophy will be, the team philosophy will be the same, because it will be Ben Chorley picking the players. And that's one of the reasons why he's head coach and not manager, is that we keep that style. I don't want to push away from that style. And I hate it when someone goes, forward. You know, I was sitting in the Arcos and it got to 30 minutes before someone shouted it. Then it was relentless. And I think Baldry said it on the interview after. He said, you know, there was a situation where I got pressured into saying forward, and I did. And what happened? It came straight back. It's not the right decision, and it doesn't work unless you're going to give it to Conroy and he can find the right pass. I agree with, but at the same time, we don't always have to go back. You know, I don't think Hunt knows how to throw the ball forward. I think he only knows how to throw it back. And then there's pace, you know, like the pace of the game on Saturday. We were desperate from energy and high tempo, and Egbo was the person, not Ben Gladwin. I think in the 94th minute, when you got hit the first time, he puts his foot on it, looks at his watch, waves to the town end, then he thinks about shooting. You know, it's one of those situations where you need energy, you need to build up play, but you need energy as well, and it's trying to find that middle ground.
Yeah, I think we were all surprised when Egbo didn't come on. It was, you know, hey, who am I to say? But it was the obvious substitution. Ian says Garner's job in August was to keep us in League Two. He's achieved that with interest. Sean says fitness is a problem with this squad. I don't have the stats, but thanks for your point. Malcolm says, Mitchell, we're not good enough to constantly play out from the back. It has to be varied. And another comment, sorry about this, Mitchell. There is time to play out from the back. You can play from the back by going to the right back or left back. And the problem is the great run we had, it set the bar high. Like I think Andy said earlier, we've not got a big squad. And I keep going back to the opening day, Johnny, in Scunthorpe and 3-1. Suddenly we're this side that's going to get relegated unless we're lucky to a side that's going to win the title. You know what Swindon fans are like? We're like that. Right, let's talk about Baldry because, you know, he said something about people being getting the ball forward. I mean, we've all heard that and we've all felt it at times. Let's be honest. We've all felt it. So what did you want to say about Matthew Baldry?
Well, firstly, I mean, that was probably one of the best player interviews we've had. Also, I mean, definitely one of the best ones all season because normally, you know, they protect themselves and it's very kind of cliche and blah, blah, blah. But it's nice to hear a different voice. And for him to be so honest as well, he just, you know, just no holds barred, was it? It was like, I think he said, I played for MK a few years back and we played Swindon. We battered them 4-1. I think it was Dele Alli was in the team at the time.
Yeah.
And he said Swindon were terrible because they were hoofing the ball. I think that might have been under Flitcroft potentially around that era.
I remember. It was. Actually, I remember Nathan Thompson getting injured in it. They kicked him to pieces.
Would have been Cooper then, wouldn't it?
Might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Bowdry come out and he's basically said the truth. And then, you know, I think he believes. I mean, it's difficult. I get it because you see it a lot with sort of Garner says it and the players say it sometimes that, you know, they see it in training all the time. So they clearly believe or think that it works. And a lot of the time it does work. But then it, you know, we said it's very high risk, high reward. Sometimes you get caught out. Like Rochdale, for example, I was definitely in the, just can we play it in a different part of the pitch because their pitch was a beach and it was so difficult to play it around at the back. And then there's points where Garner, Baldry and Conroy are sort of volleying, playing like heads and voles between themselves in their own 18-yard box. And it just becomes a bit, you know, Rochdale were never going to score unless we gave them a goal and it felt like that was going to happen at times. But yeah, I've been pretty impressed with Baldry recently. I thought he's done quite well. And yeah, it was kind of shocked for him to say that. Well, yeah, I guess it wasn't a shock for him to say that he was retiring at the end or thinking of retiring at the end of the year because, yeah, I don't know. I know he's 34, but I just thought he had maybe another year left in him, and he's the sort of the senior character that you kind of want around the squad because I think he tells people exactly what they need to hear. It's a lot of, you know, in the modern era, it's a lot of telling people how good they are and this, that, and the other. Sometimes people respond to just being told they're rubbish and they did the wrong thing. And I think it's nice to have that balance. So yeah, I did a little bit disappointed, but I also understand for the reasons that he gave, like it was, yeah, absolutely fair enough. So my best wishes to him, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony says, to me, Baldry man of the match. Sorry, you keep scrolling up just as I was about to speak. Many of these are coming in. It's not the club philosophy, it's the way that the England DNA is set up for coaching courses. And I think a lot of the academies do now play this way, don't they? They play out from the back and you'll see that all the way through the leagues and certainly in the Premier League. We want meaningful forward passes, not tippy-tappy back and forth to Jojo. I feel, hello, John. I feel that Parsons needs more minutes in the game and maybe partner Davison up front. Alan says the team practice playing from the back and wait for opportunities, open spaces. If we hoof the ball all the time, it comes back. I prefer to watch Swindon the way we are playing. Only my opinion. We're missing wide attacking players. Missed McCurdy. I think we all agree with that. That likes to find those dangerous areas. I'm 100% behind Ben Garner. He's made 100% made Swindon more enjoyable to watch. Back your football team. Dave the chair. Hi, Vic panel. I'm not knocking Garner. Does anyone know what length Ben Garner's contract is? I don't think he is. I think he's just asking a question. Do we know, Johnny? They're not saying, are they? No.
Not for sure. No, I would be guessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Someone said long last time I was on here. It broke my heart.
I don't know if it's long. I don't know. It depends how you sort of what you class as long, but
I heard it was 2.5 years, but
I heard. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
fair enough.
I don't know.
Right, Andy. Where are we going to go from here then? Because many people, I mean, I'm one of them. I walked away Saturday thinking, well, that's that then. You know, you're 2 games back now from the playoffs, aren't you? And with only 7 to go, is it 7 or how many's left? 7. Yeah, you're 2 games back of the teams in the playoffs. It is a lot of ground to make up, isn't it?
Yeah, so the last time I was on the panel was between the Bradford and the Exeter games. So we had that euphoria of the Bradford sort of 93rd minute win. So we were all very excited. And I was there. I'm on record to say that we were still going to go up automatically. Since that time, those 6 games, I thought realistically we should have taken 14 points. We've taken half of that. And there's been situations where we haven't, you know, let's face it, we should have beaten Crawley. I mean, that was an appalling day. We should have got something out of Rochdale more than a draw. We should have got a draw out of Saturday. So it has fizzled out, but you know, it's like Garner said on Saturday. There's still 6 games to go. Harrogate, they're not in the best of form. They were good down here, I agree. I think they've only won once in the last 9 games, and that was against Scunthorpe. So we've got to, you know, it's like I said, we've got to be positive still. There's still 6 games. There's still an opportunity. A lot of teams have got to play each other, and we've just got to play Forest Green of the big ones. So we've got to go up on Friday and just give it everything. You know, we don't know. Johnny might know more than we do whether Harry's going to be there. That's the big one, isn't it? They said he might be available for Easter, or is he out of it for the rest of the season? Is it just being, you know, Ben Garner being coy? So we've just got to go there. And Orient, we don't know what Orient team will turn up. They'll be fired up because it's Wellens and Vigouroux, but they've been a bit hit and miss, and they might be on the beach. So all we can do is turn up, and like I say, it's not over yet. It's not over. Let's just hope there's something on that Walsall game for all those people that are turning up.
3,500 for a dead rubber. That's
that's right. I mean, that just imagine the atmosphere. If we need a point, Walsall, that's going to be mental.
It is. Yeah, I saw Harrogate in that incredible 4-3 match down at Exeter, and it was an extraordinary game of football. And by the way, congratulations to all my mates from Exeter, because they're going to go up, I think, and well deserved. Derek says Davison needs someone with him, and I agree that Williams drives you mad trying to get free kicks by going to ground. We need to learn that we need to speed things up when we have the ball to break through our opponent's defence. From Paul, does the panel think we lack physicality to get out of this league? With 60% plus possession each week, we are the best passing team in the league, but that doesn't win enough games. We need to stop missing and backing off second ball and tackles. Teams just pick us off or wait for a mistake. We've been there before. No saying change style, but recruit a bit better and mix it up plus defend better. What's your thoughts on that, James? Are we physical enough?
Generally, no. But I think I can see what Garner's trying to do. You know, he's not. I think the problem is League Two is always going to be. There's always going to be a lot of teams, and Newport were very similar. You know, they had some big lads. Let's be honest, especially the right back. He was a very large lad. You know, and a lot of teams are going to have those kind of players. That's a stereotypical, honest kind of League Two player. Ultimately, I think some of our players actually their stature look quite small, like Tomlinson, like Ellis as well. But actually, they do pretty well against some of these bigger players. I mean, Tomlinson, didn't look, he managed to get past that big right back a couple of times, and he was under a lot of pressure, and he still managed it. He didn't get bullied. Some of our players do get bullied, massively. But I think I still go back to one of my previous comments on the panel. I still think we miss an Anthony Grant player in the midfield.
I knew you was going there, James.
Yeah, we still do. I've said it before, and I will say it again. He might not play every single game, but when you play in a team that put the foot in more and are more kind of that type of inclined to play that kind of way, that's the kind of player you need. You might bring him in for those kind of games only, but I do think though, a lot of teams are doing their homework on us. Without McCurdy, I think. Well, look at the number of players that were around. Sorry, I forget his name. Striker.
Newport striker.
No, our striker.
Davison.
Thank you. Sorry, I haven't seen a moment there. He was getting bullied by 2 or 3 players every time. He was getting his shirt pulled. He was being pulled to the ground. They knew that ultimately, if they wiped him out, there was nothing going forward, and that's what they were doing. They did the homework on us. So I think he needs a bit more protection from the ref. I don't think he got any on Saturday at all. But I think ultimately we could do with a few other options. We've got too many small players that can get bullied on the ball. It's a frustration, isn't it? Let's be honest, that we don't have. It comes down to the squad size, doesn't it? Again, that's the problem. We don't have a varied enough, big enough squad that we can rotate and basically bring in players for certain games when we need them.
On the subject of referees, I should say that 2 weeks today, we'll be joined on the sofa by Mike Malarkey, who assistant referee in the World Cup final, that never to be forgotten World Cup final between Holland and Spain, which I'd completely forgotten about. But he will be joining us, so I'm sure there'll be loads of questions because he is sort of chair of the assistant referees panel for the Premier League. I mean, this is big stuff we're talking about. So he's going to join us a couple of weeks' time. So any refereeing type questions, he'd be only too happy to answer them. That's 2 weeks today at 7:30. Right, let's have a look. Forward doesn't mean long ball. It means going towards the opposition goal quicker. It'll work in training as you don't have opponents coming at you and make heavy challenges. Same goes for shooting at goal. No pressure when shooting in training. I still miss when I play when there's no people coming at me. Glyn says, remember the start of the season, most of us said we could finish third bottom would be a good season. So finishing top half the table is an achievement. So I'm proud of Swindon. Come on, you Reds. All the top teams got to play each other. Sometimes we forget that. With the squads that we've had before the January transfer window and since, we should be in the top 7, Mitchell.
I agree. I agree and I don't agree. I'm sitting on the fence here. I think we all agreed when the window shut in January, we were a striker short. I think every Swindon fan will go, we are a striker short, okay? Because you were at the time we played 4-4-2 and you had Davison and McCurdy. That was it. Before we put Barry out wide, he obviously doesn't trust Mitchell Lawson, so you write him off. He doesn't trust Parson enough, so you write him off. So he always said Davison was in as well as Simpson, not as a replacement. He already had Davison lined up. So we all agreed that we were a striker short, an alternative, a plan B, shall we say, because McCurdy and Barry are arguably like for like. But without Dave, if it's Davison's not having a good game, well, they've sussed it. That's it. We're done. We are done as a team. I really feel like we're one striker short of a top 7 or even an automatic. So for that reason, I think. But the squad we got put together, we should be up there. And everyone at the start of the season said, yeah, okay, myself included, if we stay out, if we don't get relegated, we've had a great season. But that was me expecting to play Harry Parsons, Mo Dabre, Baldry play every game, not sign the likes of Johnny Williams as opposed to the Johnny Williams we got. These players where you go, look, I've never even heard of Louis Reed, and the player that he is sensational. These types of players, you sit there and go, oh god, they're not going to be here next year. They're not going to be here next year. So it's you go up or you lose your players. Louis Reed's not going to stay. Luckily, Harry McCurdy signed a contract because he wouldn't have stayed. He would have gone somewhere else. His goals and assists this season. So on paper, we have a good enough team to compete. And I know someone mentioned earlier about we have been unlucky with injuries and suspensions, and every manager will have injuries. Every manager will have suspensions. Is it not Garner's issue that we lost Reed for 4 games and I don't care what he says. It wasn't a ref error. He dived. It was clear as day, in my opinion. He dived, and he should have been, and he got done for it. He was vital. Those 4 games we haven't won without him. Those 4 games we didn't win a game. So you lose him, you lose Harry McCurdy. That's the influence your team, and we don't have replacement. East isn't a replacement for Reed, and Barry isn't a like-for-like replacement for McCurdy. If you put Johnny Williams out wide, it's not the same as having McCurdy and Barry supporting. So I think we should at least be 7th when I see the other teams. And if we'd have got another striker, we should have been pushing for automatic. But saying that, I have no issue seeing Exeter up there and say Port Vale. Exeter, I still stand by. If the season didn't get called with COVID, Exeter would have gone up automatically because they just played all the toughest fixtures. And Plymouth had played all the easy ones, so they shouldn't have really got. And Port Vale, I hope they do well because they were the only team, they were the most informed team, and they went call the season. We went up as champions when Port Vale probably would have made the playoffs if they tried to fight it. So for me, if it's those 2 teams, then Forest Green, then I can take that because I think those 2 teams deserve it.
Yeah, well, as I say, congratulations to my Exeter mates, of which I've had a lot of ribbing, shall we say. Ray Murphy's been in touch. Hi, Ray. Ben Garner contracted until the 30th of June 24. There we are. That answers that question. From Mark, James is right about Grant. So there we are. Our current predicament is all about returning players' fitness and rhythm. A 5-6 game winning run is not out of the question now. The rust has been brushed off. There is no reason for hysteria, and the lack of empathy given embargoes and the wafer-thin squad rattles me. We've witnessed miracles this year. Thank you very much. Gosh, where are we going? Oh, yeah. Sean says, McCurdy was jogging Saturday morning. He wasn't he, Johnny? Is McCurdy fit for Easter?
Well, as far as I know, yeah, both on and off the record, it's sort of going to be touch and go. Personally, I think the temptation is to throw him back in like Monday, but I don't know. I get it, given the last 2 games, it would be an extremely brave call if he's even half fit not to play him. But I'd be tempted to leave him for Hartlepool. It depends. Like it's person to person, isn't it? As well, you never know in terms of his recovery how quickly he can come back, because we saw Payne run in at Colchester, I think it was, and he obviously didn't come back till Bradford. Gladwin's been running for a few weeks. I think he was like, didn't someone say limped into the sponsors dinner the other day and ended up playing at the end of the game on Saturday? So yeah, you don't really know. At least he's back running though. I know he shouldn't. Fingers crossed, touch wood, he shouldn't be out for the rest of the season. But it's going to be a balancing act in terms of how quickly he can come back and whether you risk.
It's a calf injury, isn't it? Is it a calf?
Yeah, it's a calf injury when he was sprinting.
Yeah, I mean, having had one a lot in my life, you've got to be really careful because they do go very easily, don't they? Because the muscle shortens, not to get too scientific about it, but it shortens. And so you have to stretch it and make sure it's,
And that's where the power comes from in his shot as well. Yeah. So,
if he comes back next weekend, he'll be 2 weeks ahead of schedule, is what I heard. It'll be a record recovery time for that kind of injury. I heard that he's probably going to be on the bench on Monday, but not play Friday. But I guess you have to look at how we do on Friday, don't you? If that is the case,
yeah.
If we get beat on Friday, then I think it'll be very unlikely we'll hit the playoffs. In which case, you'd probably ease him back in so he doesn't get injured again, and then miss pre-season. But if we win Friday, you probably would risk him on Monday because we've still got a chance of hitting the playoffs. And if he does get injured, then if it's another calf injury, he might not be out for a great deal of time. So I think you have to look at how we do on Friday and then assess it. But yeah, I mean, he was jogging, wasn't he, on the pitch? If you got there early enough on Saturday, he was doing he was doing a lot of running and kind of well, what the guy next to me said, ballet dancing, kind of with a broomstick, which he was. I don't know what that was, but yeah. So I guess we have to see, don't we?
Yeah. Ian says, for me, I'd like to see Conroy as a sweeper. I don't like Bowdry and Conroy together as a partnership at all. I feel defensively, since we lost Cooper and O'Brien, as we've not been as good. Also, Tomlinson is a player I'd love to try and sign permanently. Surely the disconcerting factor is that we've failed to win enough games at the county ground. Away wins were a bonus that will push you as promotion contenders. And Lee, also on a similar subject, what frustrates me is our home form. What is it with playing at the county ground? We have a cracking pitch compared to most of the other clubs in League Two, but just struggle at home. If we won most of our home games, we'd be cruising up there. Andy, I think that's fair to say, isn't it? Our home form's been miserable all season.
Well, yeah, certainly before Christmas. It's taken a little bit of been improvement since Christmas, isn't it? I mean, all right, we lost on Saturday, but it's that age-old problem, isn't it? It used to be a fortress going way back. But this isn't a recent problem. It's something that we've happened. I think the last season of Di Canio, we dropped 31 points at home. So it's been something that's, no one can put their finger on why. But it's our away form that's sort of tailed off as well after Christmas. That's made it all the more worse. Like you say, I think we were laughing the other day. Was it when was the first time we lost in a yellow shirt? It was only a few weeks ago, wasn't it? So it's been such a good thing. But you don't know. 11,000 there, you'd have thought it's still, the atmosphere wasn't buzzing on Saturday, was it?
No,
and you
no.
don't know why. And it should have been a lot louder, more raucous. And is that our fault as fans, or is that the fare that they're dishing up on the field, not getting us excited? I don't know.
I mean, it's an interesting point, Andy. I mean, even Saturday, you're right. I mean, there were moments in the game when you want to be up for it, but it's very difficult somehow, isn't it? Because there just isn't anything going on to make you get up for it.
It's so ponderous at times, isn't it? It was a comment, it's funny, Jojo said on Wednesday, didn't it? We asked him about this, whose responsibility is it for throwing the ball out? Is it Conroy? Is it? And he said, it's me. He said, it's my responsibility. I said, so we said, well, why don't? He said, because none of them are moving. He said, there's just no move. So there's a disconnect, isn't there? And that's what, traditionally Swindon have always had these sort of going forward. I mean, a bit like Manchester United under the sort of Ferguson era. You had this reputation of sort of charging forward, and, the likes of Steve Foley bringing it through the middle, and Ray McCall going back even further. But we just don't seem to have that dynamism. It's all structured to get out. It's a lot of blackboard stuff still.
Yeah,
which will never excite anyone, frankly.
No. Going to be harder next year. Look at the teams coming down from League One, and possibly Stockport and Wrexham. There's a lot of money in the National League, actually, and they've got a big backing. James, not so much a Grant, more a McHale, going back to what you just said, Andy. I agree with James. We do need a midfielder who likes to put a foot in. We're a bit too nice at times, and also our midfielder of a similar ilk. Thanks, James. I agree. Not that Anthony was up to it this year. He certainly made a difference in our physicality previously. And hi, panel. Do we need a long throw specialist next season as an attacking option? Obviously, but to prepare us in coaching also. What about, long throw? I was going to ask Jojo tonight, had he been on, and we talked to him about this on Wednesday night. The greatest assist we saw this season, as far as I'm concerned, was that long ball out to Davison. It was pure Route 1 football, and it was quite beautiful to watch. Now, people not Route 1 football sometimes, James, but that, to me, was like the perfect goal. Bang, bang, goal. Brilliant.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a bit of variety. When depending on what's in front of you, and I agree with the Jojo comment as well, because he was getting really frustrated on Saturday about no one moving for him. You could see he was getting frustrated, especially because the crowd were getting on his back as well, especially in the second half. but I think the point. Yeah, I think you should be able to. We should be able to kind of vary it. We shouldn't just automatically play the ball out from the back. If there's an option, then get the ball out long. I know it's a different kettle of fish, but I was watching the Liverpool Man City game yesterday. The Man City keeper, some of the throwouts to their kind of wing backs and how far he got the ball, and ultimately what led to a really, really good attack. I just wish we could do a bit more of that. Getting the ball out to Ellis, getting the ball out to Tomlinson, Hunt, whoever, even Barry potentially. That kind of option would be a good one to kind of explore as an alternative to just playing out the back all the time. But I just don't think at the moment we've, the movement's not there. We don't have the wingers particularly. I think it's been mentioned earlier on. But yeah, I think if you can do that, kind of throw the ball out, flip the ball on, someone scores as a plan B in games, absolutely. Why wouldn't you? I think if we had Simpson still, we could have easily been looking at playing that kind of way, because I think his hold-up play and flick on to someone like McCurdy then to go and score. I mean, Leicester have done a good job on it, haven't they, over the years? With Vardy up front, that's pretty much what, when they won the Championship, that's what they did, effectively. Ball went up, got kind of flicked on, Vardy scores, goes on and scores. I think the variety is the key thing, just to mix it up a bit, because I think teams know we're going to play out from the back every single time. And they push up then and make it really hard for us to ultimately play the ball from the back. And sometimes there was 4 players, Newport players, on us on our back line on Saturday, and they just couldn't get the ball out.
Yeah. Ian says struggle to generate an atmosphere at home. Roll on next season. Clem needs to make some funds available with the fans coming back at the county ground. Can win the league next season onwards and upwards. STFC. Anthony, if we can beat Harrogate Friday, we'll join Port Vale as the only teams to have beaten the other 91 in first-class games. We were the first several years ago when beating Salford, but Vale managed that feat this season. Fraser, hello. Hope the embargo is sorted so we can make long-term plans. This has hampered us massively this season. And Sean, it's a style of play. At home, you have to go for it from the off. Away, you can sit on the fence and play on the break. How many times have we been in the lead at half at home? And Mitchell, that is a very good point, isn't it? It is a style which suits you away from home, doesn't it?
Yeah, and for as long as I can remember, the last 4 or 5 years, everyone comes and sits back at the county ground. No one comes to play us. Nobody, no. And if they do, we win. Look at Northampton. They came to play and went in our favour. And I remember a few years back when Bury went up, and I said to my colleague who's a Bury fan, he was like, I said, we're going to beat you. He laughed. I said, no, we'll beat you at your ground because you'll go to play football and we'll catch you on the counter-attack. And we did. Kane would read the pace. Yeah. He said, how do you know that? I said, because away from home, if you give us space, we'll regardless of what team is, we're gonna go for it. But at home, every team, and I think it relates to some of the comments earlier about the county ground, I don't think it's a nice place to play. I don't think it's been a nice place to play for our fans for since maybe that one season for Richie Reynolds, but before that, it wasn't a good place. We get frustrated easily because we can't break them down. We don't, and it doesn't matter who it is, we don't seem to have another way of breaking them down. They know that if you come to Swindon, you go there and get the draw, or play for the draw, they'll give you an opportunity. It's going to be a set piece or a mistake, like playing out from the back, getting caught, but we'll give them an opportunity. They'll take it, and then they'll sit even more back. We'll get more frustrated. And that just seems to be the pattern of, the only time we ever seem to do pretty well is when the teams actually come to play, and then it becomes, quite a good game. And the thing that fears me this season now is it's not the teams up there that concern me. Everyone's looked at the fixture list and gone, they've all got to play each other. We've got all these dead rubbers where they got nothing to play for. They haven't won in so-and-so. When they haven't won in so-and-so, we come around and go, yeah, have you win? We always seem to break someone's record of not winning in God knows how long, or they haven't won away from home in 67 games. Come to the county ground. It always seems to be we're the team who give them, end their really bad run or something. And it just seems to be, I'd rather be playing the teams at the bottom or the teams at the top where they have to play first. It's the teams who are going to be sitting in the middle. Your Crawley, the teams who go, I've got nothing to play for. And then they're not the games I want to be playing, because they're the games where we're going to get frustrated and it's going to tail out of the season. I just think nobody comes to win at the county ground. If you come to win, we win. If you come to draw, we normally give you the chance.
Okay. Sean says a couple of fans in the Don Rogers reckon our goal wasn't offside on Saturday. What do you think, Johnny?
It was offside.
Yeah.
A mile offside,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, where we're sitting, I've no idea. I couldn't really see, but
I've seen the replay back
on the individual as well.
It looks like he's at least half a body offside.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. So, where do we go from here then, Johnny? I mean, what are your thoughts? 6 games to go, and they'll go like that, won't they? Once you get Easter out of the way, just got 4 to go. And we end up at we got the lovely trip to Harrogate on Friday, and then the lovely trip to Hartlepool the following Saturday, finishing up at Walsall, which is not such a long trip, thank goodness. What do you reckon?
I don't know. I'm torn because, like I said, I on the one hand, I really want there to be something on the line for the sort of 3,500 people that are going to go, because it will be. I've said to people that said they're going, I'm like, if we've got something on that'll be one of the best days of our life, probably. Like it feels like there'll be something that hopefully for a good reason will live long in the memory. I think the sort of realistic part of my brain that's watched Swindon 40 times, 50 times this year thinks that potentially it might be a chance to sort of build early, give Parsons, Cow Meadow, Minton sort of real time just to see what they can do. I mean, you never know. Honestly, you never know. It's a bit of a cop out answer, but I don't know. I think really, if I had to kind of nail my colours to the mast, I don't think we finish in the top 7. But I'd like to be wrong. But what I would say though, as well, on our position, at the start of the year, I think where we are now in 11th is the lowest we've been all year. So
the Swindon way.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe you see it as a bit of a let off at the we've dropped off at the wrong time. But I think, given what I don't want to like I'm really defending giving them every excuse in the book, but given what they've had to deal with, I think to have it to a lowest position of 11th this year is pretty outstanding. Mind you, on the other hand, some could say that it sort of shows the general strength of the league, which is pretty poor. And is only going to get better next year with Donny, Stockport, probably Wrexham coming up. That means that if Town do get promoted, my God, will they have deserved it? Because I don't know what's going on at Donny, but they would, you'd fancy them to sort of turn it around quite quickly. The other 3 that are likely to come down are probably nothing to write home about. But
Crew already, aren't they?
Yeah, Crew's gone.
Yeah, Crew, and I don't know. Crew are always sort of a bit of
yo-yo
similarities between us and them, aren't there? So
they're the archetypal yo-yo team, aren't they? Good chippy.
Saturday manager as well today, so
yeah, they have. Yeah. Mark says win all 6. I'm going to put a bet on. Ian says, when was the last time we had a good Easter? We were talking about this the other day, weren't we, Andy? And it was that dreadful Easter with Scunthorpe away, and we got stuffed 6-0 on the Saturday, and then lost 4-1 at home to Wigan on the Monday. That's right, wasn't it?
Good Friday. Yeah, we lost 4-1 on Tuesday, didn't we, to Wigan, and then the Monday was Scunthorpe.
Yeah.
That weekend, and we all renewed our season tickets the following day.
Yes, we did. So, what are your thoughts, Andy? Walsall would be a great day regardless, but yes, can you imagine what it would be like if we had something riding on it? It would be fabulous. What are your thoughts then?
I'd love to get really excited. 6 games, Harrogate, as I say, in different. But I'm just thinking, without the McCurdy factor, and the fact that the last 3 games, Newport, all right, a strong team, but the Crawley and the Rochdale games, they were there for the taking, and we just didn't really turn up. And I've just got this horrible feeling that out of those 6 games, there's going to be 2 or 3 of those that we just don't turn up. Barrow at home. I mean, it's a banker home win, isn't it? Surely it's got to be. Especially Phil Brown. I mean, he'll be making excuses already. But you just think there's going to be a few games there that we just do not turn up. So, but let's be positive. Like you say, 6 games. There's 18 points for grabs. How many do we need? 72. Can we get 12 more points out of those 18? We can, but Summit has to change after the last 3 games. Certainly, we have to start playing.
Am I right? Somebody's just come into my head. Leeds away 3-0. Tranmere at home 3-0. That was over Easter, wasn't it?
That was Easter Monday, Leeds, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I went to that, but I can't remember when it was.
But that
Yeah,
I think
Easter
those.
Monday, I was watching a pillow fight in the centre of Amsterdam.
Obviously,
As you do.
yes.
I think I was, unless it was summer I was, imbibing. I don't know. Yeah.
It was Amsterdam, for goodness sake. Right. QPR away at the end of the Premier season was one of my favourite all-time away days. Nothing to play for that day either. Turns into a carnival. Hope it works out for the crowd at Walsall as well. Jackie says, we really need this weekend to be the best. Come on, get behind the boys. Greg says, I think I read out of the 7 teams with embargoes, we're the only team to be in with a chance of promotion. It says a lot. And I think, James, just before I quickly ask you your opinion of what's going to happen for the rest of the season, the ground purchase, we're midway in that little sort of sussing out money type things and all that kind of thing, aren't we, at the minute?
Yeah, all the legal stuff is kind of going on. Money's basically all kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, basically, which, formally that 6-week period's there ultimately to allow someone else to kind of come in and say, give other people opportunities to kind of express their interest in purchasing the carrying ground, but that's not going to happen, and it hasn't happened, thank goodness. So yeah, it's just all the paperwork and monies, which is all going as we expected. There's not any hitches or anything. So yeah, all looking good, really.
Marvellous. So are we going to be in the playoffs?
If you'd have asked me 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have said yes. I think after the last couple of games, I am going to say we're going to miss out. And I kind of agree. I think we'll probably end up finishing 9th, 10th.
Which we would have snatched your hand off.
Which I would have snapped if you'd have said to me at the beginning of the season, 9th or 10th, I would have thought I was dreaming. But ultimately, I think we'll just miss out. If McCurdy does come back, I think he's our only hope, really. If he does come back and we get him back early, then maybe. But I think if he doesn't, I don't think we've got a chance.
Mitchell, Dion Conroy, we've kind of discussed, haven't we? But I kind of feel that a lot of people blamed him for their horse not winning the National on Saturday. It's that sort of thing at the minute, isn't it? And it does annoy me immensely. I read some of the comments and I just think this bloke's had 2 serious, and I've said it so many times, I get fed up with saying it. He's had so many serious injuries. He's come back, and he is getting close to fitness. And I don't blame him for the goal on Saturday. I will stand up for Dion Conroy. Whatever comments you want to throw at me, then do it. But I just find it just gets on my nerves. I just don't understand it.
I agree with you, Vic. Yeah.
I think it's his fault that we have got an embargo. I think it's his fault that we haven't gone up. I think it's his fault that we didn't score any goals on Saturday. No, as I said briefly, I thought he was struggling before his injury. I don't think he was great, and I think we had better options on the bench. But since his return, he hit bar the Exeter game where nobody was great. No. He has been fantastic, and it's no one can be pointing the fingers at that way. But it's the easy option because of that's the scapegoat at the moment, or it's easy to point it at him and Baldry because nobody wants to point it at Louis Reed on Saturday, who got caught with the ball 24 times, or Jack Payne because it's Jack Payne. It's we go for those two because they're the people that, I would say Ben Gladwin, but I will go for Ben Gladwin. But certain people that they pick on, and it's not Dion Conroy, it's not Matthew Baldry this week. It's there's too many 6s, not enough 7 or 8s in the last 3 or 4 games. That's what I say with our team. No one's give you more than a 6, and interesting, I don't think Garner's really got it wrong, if I'm going to be honest. I don't think he's got much to... I'm not a big Garner fan, but I don't think he's had much to play with. I can't look at him and go, with the exception of potentially Egbo, bring them on. There's nowhere there where I've gone, you've got that wrong, where I did at the start of the season. There's a lot where I thought he was getting it wrong. I think he's learned, and I think it's not necessarily his fault. I just think there's too many 6s in the teams and not enough 7 and 8s. I think we'll finish like that.
Okay, will O'Brien be back Friday? He was on the bench, wasn't he, Saturday, Johnny? Is he going to be back Friday?
Yeah, he just had a cold. He sort of just wasn't still wasn't like 100%. So maybe he brings him back, might switch to a 5 or something, do something different.
Why does he get to jump Odemeo, and that's what confuses me. Everyone forgets about. I think Odemeo's been fantastic. I don't think he's had one bad game all season, and he missed out with O'Brien and Cooper because it worked really well. And he obviously went for Belgium. They've done nothing wrong. But why does O'Brien get to potentially jump Odemeo, who's done nothing wrong at all, except he went and played left back to cover somebody, and the left back come back and then he's out of the squad, out of the team.
I would say if I was guessing what's going through Ben Garner's mind, I would say that he probably doesn't think that Odemeo is as good with the ball as O'Brien, Baldry, Conroy, which
I disagree. I think O'Brien is Odemeo is slightly better than O'Brien. I don't think either of them are great with the ball.
yeah, I mean that's that. I don't know. That would not. It's not my opinion either. But it's just I would think that's probably just based on team selections and
Yeah,
things.
fair
I don't know. That would be
Okay. Right. Let's wrap up in a second, but I've got lots more comments just to try and fit in. Oh gosh. Right. Hang on. This is Paddy. I like watching a passing game at times, but having 65% possession in games with no points to show for it gets tiresome. 1970s Brazil, Pep's Barcelona and Manchester City side did it and do it with an end result in winning the games. Hang on. Oh dear. Old bloke with technology. It's not good. Maybe we have too much snobbery amongst fans when it comes to mixing it up a bit. When we're still stuck in League Two in 3 or 4 years' time, we'll regret missed opportunities to grab that chance this season. Pint in it for you, Johnny, if we make the playoffs. So there you go. Can have a pint on Kevin. And also, just finally then, bearing in mind that the end of season awards are taking place on the 4th of May in the Legends Lounge, I think. And here's a quick one for you from Anthony. Who will be player of the season? I'll go around the panel because the Evening Advertiser, Swindon Advertiser Player of the Year will also be announced, I should say. So let's go round the panel and ask Player of the Season, James.
It'll be between Reed and McCurdy, I think, but I'll go for McCurdy.
Mitchell?
Jojo.
Oh, interesting. Johnny?
Just who I think it will be or who I voted for.
No, I'm not. Who you think it will be?
Oh.
Same player. I voted for McCurdy. I just think, like, you know, the effect he's had on the team, and I agree that, you know, Jojo and Louis Reed should be up there for their performances and the standards, like the consistent standards. I also think Ellis should be in the mix because the consistency of performance this year has been probably his best ever. But in terms of, you know, the goals, the assists, the whole kind of aura he's had around the place, I would be probably slightly miffed if it wasn't Harry McCurdy, to be honest.
And when do you announce your 5? Because you have a short list of 5, don't you?
So everyone can kind of vote. Just, you know, chuck a load of names, whoever you want. Top most popular 5. I'll put them into the poll, and then that poll will be the final vote. I think I said you've got until this Sunday coming to nominate, and then it will be the week after to vote, and then we'll see. I'll have to get a trophy.
Okay. Andy, who do you reckon?
I've gone a bit left field because, I mean, yeah, everyone say Harry McCurdy, Louis Reed, but I picked one of the Melksham 7 and Rob Hunt. Because Rob Hunt turns up week in, week out. You know, he's been asked to play right back. He never lets you down. Right wing back maybe hasn't got the pace to do it, but again he puts a shift in. He was in centre defence, and like I say, he was one of those guys there on that fateful Friday night. So for me, that's what this club's all about. Rob Hunt.
He's Mr. Consistent, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's the same thing I said with Ellis. It's, you know, like, again, Rob Hunt would be up there for the same reason. I think, like, you know, just never lets you down. Like, I can't
Probably
remember if I've never given him below a 6 in player ratings ever.
Yeah, he's a steady 6 or 7, isn't he? Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got to say, my moment, I know this is daft, but I've got 3 or 4 moments of the season. One is Harry McCurdy's goal against Manchester City, which, if you could bottle that moment, we'd all live off it for years, wouldn't we? Dion's header against Oldham, obviously, that's another moment. Were you in Egypt then, Mitchell? Did you miss that one?
No, and I loved every minute. Honest to God, I was going to put money on it. Me and my friend spoke about the 90th minute Dion Conroy header. We spoke about it as well.
Dan Design sat next to me, and I said to him before then, the ball's in, far post, Dion Conroy header, and lo and behold, it happened. So that's another moment. Jack Payne's penalty up at Bradford, wonderful moment, and of course the opening day of the season at Scunthorpe. So if you had a moment of the season, they'd be in the makeup. But I've got to go for Harry McCurdy. I just think he's been bonkers. You know, he's bonkers, isn't he? But wonderfully bonkers, and he's our bonkers, and we've missed him dreadfully. I think it's fair to say.
Can you just go to the first pod right at the start of the season when he was being played out wide? And I said, I think if you put him up front, he'll score goals.
Yeah, I also said we'd get in the playoffs, Mitch, you know.
Yeah,
but I did say, I think if you play him up front with Simpson.
Did you see him at Weymouth?
Yeah, we did.
Like Sunday League. It was crazy.
We just thought, what's this?
We just need. But James, you said something earlier about him running off Simpson because it hits it. I'd never seen Simpson win a header or hold up the ball. I think Davidson's better at it, but Simpson's just absolute powerhouse that scares the crap out of everyone, which created space for McCurdy.
No, I think even down to the hats that he wears, you know, I just think, do you know what, mate? That's what football's about, and it's just a bit different. So fabulous. Thank you, gentlemen, very much indeed. It's still lots to play for, 6 games to go, and we'll see what happens. Just to say, SAS Travel are open tomorrow night, and they are taking bookings for Harrogate and Walsall. So if you want to go down to the town end tomorrow night, that's what they're doing, taking bookings for Harrogate and Walsall. Chris.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. That's been lots of debate there. Some of the comments we've had in, they agree with you, they totally disagree with you, and all sorts. But and apparently Mitch is awesome, and he talks a lot of sense. But you know,
I don't know what about.
We all know better.
Mitchell, did you type that whilst talking at the same time?
I was going to say,
Change his name. Yeah.
I text my wife, quick, they're slaughtering me.
Thanks so much. It's been brilliant. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you for all your comments. Again, sorry if we didn't get through to yours, but we did have a lot again tonight. Just a reminder, Hartlepool tickets go on sale tomorrow from the Hartlepool ticket office. As Vic has already mentioned, our end-of-season dinner presentation evening is on the 4th of May. We are sold out. We do have a reserve list. We're waiting for some that we allocated to be decided. There may be some coming back, so we will go down the reserve list for that. But thank you, everybody who got their orders in for that. And the email went out yesterday for members to nominate their player of the season. So if you could get those back, that would be great as well. So we'll have a trophy to present. So
Andy, if you could turn your light on, that'd be really good because you're disappearing in the dark.
The sun has gone down. The sun shines forever over in Weymouth, but yeah, I will.
Brilliant. As it's Easter Monday next week, we will be back on Tuesday. So we'll do a Tuesday evening panel. And I've just seen on Twitter that the guest for the hospitality on the Easter Monday match at Leyton Orient is John Conte, the boxer. So that's a bit different. So, so yes.
It was Peter Trigo, the Somerset cricketer, I think, on Saturday, wasn't it? He was doing it. So
yeah. So I think they're just having different people. So there you go. So thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you next week.